Over the last few years, 4K projectors have matured significantly, particularly when it comes to HDR. So when BenQ announced the W4000i, we were all ears, eager to discover what this mid-priced home cinema projector offers. So, if you're looking for a more affordable 4K, color-accurate DLP projector, you might want to keep this in mind. The BenQ W4000i is a 4K DLP projector with a stated resolution of 3840 by 2160. It achieves this courtesy of a Texas Instruments 0.65-inch digital micromirror device. Limited to a native resolution of 1080p, the 0.65-inch DMD produces 3840 by 2160 by flashing its 2 million plus micrometer-sized mirrors 4 times in fast succession. It forgoes the lamp-based light source of the W5700 in favor of a 4 LED light source. This also allows it to dispense with a color wheel, which can be the cause of RBE or rainbow effect for some viewers. The W4000i boasts a quoted 3200 NC lumens with a contrast ratio of 2 million to 1, with a stated 20,000 hour lifespan in normal and 30,000 hours in eco mode. The actual contrast ratio, though, is likely to be much lower. This staggering figure was achieved with full-on, full-off or FOFO measurements and dynamic black engaged, which isn't ideal because we usually prefer NC. Like the similarly priced W5700, the W4000i is quoted as being able to produce 100% of the DCI-P3 color gamut. It uses BenQ's proprietary HDR Pro technology, which incorporates both dynamic black and local contrast technologies. Dynamic black delivers software-based dimming of the LED light source, which is faster in nature than a mechanical iris. Meanwhile, local contrast analyzes the brightness of multiple zones, adjusting the gamma of each individual zone accordingly. BenQ claims that this lets the W4000i preserve subtle details in dark and bright areas, enriching the depth of 4K HDR images. Color accuracy is also something that BenQ embraces, with each of its projectors being factory calibrated. Although it's impossible to account for differing screens and environments, these projectors are usually more accurate than rivals. The W4000i also supports HDR10 in addition to HDR10 Plus and HLG. It's also equipped with an Android TV dongle, providing access to the Google Play Store and a host of streaming apps like Netflix and YouTube. Gamers will also be delighted to learn that the W4000i offers some very fast response times. Lens control is strictly manual. Horizontal and vertical lens shifts, as well as focus and zoom controls, are located on the top of the unit. Vents are situated on the front and the sides of the projector. Around the back, you will find an abundance of connection options, including 2 HDMI 2.0B inputs. In addition to a LAN port, there is also a 12-volt trigger, an RS-232 port, and 2 USB-A inputs, one of which is reserved for service. A small housing extends from the back of the W4000i, in which the Android dongle is installed. The unit can also be connected to the internet via Wi-Fi, courtesy of the Android dongle. An internal 5-watt speaker is fitted, although it can connect directly to an AV receiver or processor via Toslink, 3.5mm mini jack, or HDMI 2, which also supports ARC. The lens is located on the side of the projector and incorporates a 10-element 6-group array. It's the very same type that is found on the W3000i with a generous 1.15 to 1.5 throw distance, which BenQ states will allow it to fill a 100-inch screen from 2.5 meters. Keystone correction is also provided, 0 to 60% vertical and a max of plus minus 15% horizontal, which should be more than enough. The projector also comes with a power cord, user manual, certificate of calibration, Android dongle, and 2 remote controls. The larger remote, which operates the projector, is one of the finest we have ever used. The black on the white finish is eye-catching, while its simplicity makes it super easy to operate. Sporting the same finish, the smaller remote is for navigating the Android interface. Setting up is, for the most part, straightforward. With the Android dongle installed and powered on, a GUI guides users through everything from pairing remotes to connecting to the internet. Some misspellings and incorrect diagrams did cause a little confusion, but there's nothing too difficult here for most users. The W4000i may be able to fill a 100-inch screen from 2.5 meters, but frustratingly, we couldn't get it small enough to fill 100-inch at 3.5 meters. Designed to project big images from a fairly close distance, owners of dedicated home theaters will need to be mindful of this. Ultimately, we had to accept a small amount of overscan in our home theater. That aside, the vertical and horizontal lens controls made it relatively easy to get everything lined up. There's enough range in the controls that keystone correction shouldn't be necessary, and we would actually strongly encourage you not to use it as it tends to soften images. The W4000i has 5 selectable picture modes: Cinema, Filmmaker, User, Bright, and Bright Cinema. Calibration controls include 2 and 11-point grayscale controls and a CMS or color management system. Unsurprisingly perhaps, Bright produced the brightest images with peak white measuring 165 nits. It did, however, come at a cost of accuracy, with the grayscale emphasizing green. This translated to limey whites, making images unwatchable. Bright Cinema proved to be a better compromise for brighter rooms, producing a respectable 107 nits without making images look radioactive. In Filmmaker mode, the W4000i yielded 62 nits, enough for SDR viewing in all but challenging environments. However, grayscale performance exhibited more error than expected, with delta E ranging between 1.5 and 7.6. While this projector may be factory calibrated, you can't account for differing screens and viewing environments. Color fared slightly better, with DEs ranging between 1.8 and 6.2, while gamma tracking was excellent. Both the user and cinema picture modes produced very similar results to Filmmaker mode, although the WCG filter needs to be turned off for better SDR color accuracy in user. Ultimately, we settled on the cinema picture mode for the SDR calibration. Combining the 2-point and 11-point grayscale controls allowed us to dial in an extremely accurate grayscale and gamma tracking with a maximum DE of 1 at 80%, the remainder tracking well below this level. Color accuracy was likewise superb, with a maximum DE of 1.7. This level of accuracy, in theory, should result in accurate and more lifelike colors. Switching to Smart Eco, the peak light output of the W4000i dropped to a still very healthy 88 nits for SDR. It also engaged the dynamic dimming and significantly improved black levels. With the WCG filter engaged, the W4000i produced 100% of the DCI P3 color gamut and between 77 to 81% of BT 2020. While the 4K UHD standard uses BT 2020, 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays are typically limited to DCI P3 color. The challenge of introducing a color filter into the projector's light path is a reduction in light output. In HDR10 mode, peak light output dropped from 90 to around 57.2 nits. Favoring brighter HDR images and better black levels, we opted to disengage the WCG for HDR10. The W4000i is superbly color accurate, with images looking incredibly lifelike and natural. While it can't match other technologies in terms of black levels, it produces sharp, crisp images all the same. HDR performance is likewise strong, and the W4000i is a clear improvement over its predecessors in terms of HDR imagery. With the ever-familiar but often challenging 1080p SDR Blu-ray of The Wolverine, The projector produced a level of color accuracy that has to be seen to be believed. It gave the varying skin tones a wonderful realism that some projectors costing many times more can struggle to match. It's not just the skin tones that benefit from the color accuracy though, with even the more mundane given a new lease of life. For instance, the white shirts of the bodyguards were crisp, looking as though they'd just been laundered, while set pieces were incredibly realistic. Switching to the often drab hues on the 1080p SDR Blu-ray of The Revenant, the W4000i put in an equally impressive performance. Its excellent grayscale and color performance made everything from snow to rock look real, while the differing shades of a character's fur coat were made out with ease. The deep, dark blacks in the opening scene of the UHD Blu-ray of Star Wars The Force Awakens provided the perfect opportunity to test black levels. And as good as it was in terms of color performance, it struggled with the challenging space shots, blacks looking closer to a darker grey. With such material, the dynamic dimming of Smart Eco pays off in spades. It provides a significant improvement in black levels, with blacks possessing a faint glow without it. Engaged, it's still a far cry from the black levels of our own Sony VPL XW5000ES, but nonetheless provides a significant improvement over the native contrast of the W4000i. Despite its limited black levels, the attack on the village was a visual feast. The blasts of lasers and fires looked surprisingly HDR-like. While the dynamic contrast enhancer did little for black levels, it did add luster to brighter objects such as stars and explosions. When Rey was introduced, the W4000i did a wonderful job rendering the fine details of her clothes. While the detail and crispness can't quite match more expensive native 4K projectors, the W4000i produced some of the sharpest images that we've seen at its price point. The clean visuals of the W4000i also imparts a great sense of dimensionality. Experimenting with the HDR brightness control pays off, taming blown-out highlights and providing yet more depth to images. While quite usable, the interface wasn't as snappy as the trusty Apple TV. Likewise, getting sound to a receiver or processor is a challenge if the W4000i can't be directly connected. It may have been a while between models for BenQ, but it is evident that the Taiwanese manufacturer has been busy doing good work. While the W4000i's black levels may not be its strong suit, it is capable of color accuracy that puts more expensive projectors to shame. HDR performance has also been significantly improved, and the combination of dynamic dimming and local contrast enhancer makes for fun, poppy images. Also, the sharp images it produces are hard to beat at this price point. Although functional and a handy addition, the Android interface presents some challenges in getting sound to an external processor or receiver. As such, it's better reserved for impromptu movie nights, to which the W4000i is highly suited due to its low weight and compact form factor. It's also a non-issue if you already have a dedicated streaming device. So, if you're a fan of the film-like images produced by DLP, this new projector needs to be on your audition list. Everything about it is an improvement over the W5700 and W2700, offering the perfect upgrade path for owners of such projectors. In fact, the W4000i may be the best DLP money can buy at this price point right now. For more in-depth reviews, don't forget to head on over to our website at StereoNET.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop a like on this video.